Everyone has something they want to accomplish, have a desire, have a drive to be fulfilled inside their hearts. Just like my mother, her sister, my father, and everyone else that raises a family or doesn't have a family. Everyone has, a purpose, and everyone has the drive wanting to fulfill their purpose. And even if you don't know what the purpose may be yet, but it is certain you are in this life, you're existing, and that in itself is already proof enough that you do have a purpose. And I don't mean to preach or be too religious. I personally simply believe there's a higher power. I believe in God. I believe there's a light given to us, a life force energy larger than us that is giving us that ultimate power that is inside of us. And it is our work, our homework to discover, that power, to use that light, to use that gift. And there's so much power and magic inside of us that we haven't even been able to unleash yet because of a state of mind or because of our limited perspective. So there's so much that we yet to discover that can change our life for the better and that can move mountains. Years ago, I asked my mother, how do you feel about being a full-time mom? Besides having all these amazing gifts and talents, my mother has accomplished a lot. She has a diploma as a teacher. She studied history, psychology, language. She had exhibitions through her artwork. And yet, eventually, she decided to be a full-time mom. And along with all those challenges and all the pain that came along with all those losses, even going through separation, divorce, here I am standing, looking at my mom and asking, how did you do it? What made you to become this person or be this person, to make it this far, never quit, and still have so much hope? And my mother looked at me and she said, there's nothing I regret in my life. I had a lot of pain. I've experienced a lot of losses, including losing her first son, my brother. God bless him. My mother had only one purpose when she got us into this world, and that was to take care of us. My mother said that's the most beautiful gift that ever happened to her. She would never look back and try to trade places, because seeing us growing up and raising beautiful children, and that in itself for her, that was bigger than the biggest dream that she ever imagined. That's what she told me. She was hoping to maintain a family with one husband and just stay with one husband and have, that perfect family and that perfect harmony. It didn't happen, but she remained to be that positive person to fight for her children. And that was her everything. That was her drive. And that's what I want to tell you. You got to have the drive to stay hungry, to wanting to achieve what desires your heart to come true. Every child that comes into this world is innocent. They don't know what they will experience. They don't know what will happen in the future. And every human being is raised differently, meaning all of them will develop a different belief system. And paying attention to what I just said, developing a different belief system, meaning each human being is trained differently. They are trained a certain way to believe certain things through certain influence, through certain circumstances, through a certain environment. All of that has an impact on what we believe. So if you have a person in front of you that teaches you that money doesn't grow on trees and it doesn't buy you love and money is the root of all evil, then most likely you're going to believe that. And maybe within years, you don't believe it anymore, but subconsciously, you have this inside of your brain that somehow money is a negative thing. It's possible, you know. We have to be conditioned a certain way to live a certain way. And if we're emotionally conditioned to the fact that money is bad for you and that, you know, it's impossible to get rich or impossible to reach a certain success, then it's very unlikely that you reach that success. And even if you do reach that success, if you're not conditioned to handle it, to appreciate it, to know what it really means, then you could lose all of it. And really, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change. A quote from Dr. Dwayne Dyer. Same thing when I keep saying, change the state of your mind, right? It's a matter of perspective. How do you look at yourself? How do you view the world? How do you define success? All of these things have an impact on you. One of the most important things to achieve success is to have the right influence. For example, to have a role model. I want to be a great pianist. Well, first of all, I need a piano, of course, and I need to find the right resource which helped the pianist that I admire so much to achieve that certain level. Of course, there are God-given gifts and everyone has different talents, you know, but it's not for me to say, this is your talent, this is not your talent. I think really, ultimately, we know that everyone has some kind of a gift. And when you follow your heart, follow your instinct, and you feel this is something you really love doing, this is something you're worth dying for, you know, you develop a hunger and a desire, and it shapes you. It shapes your mind, it shapes your body, it shapes the way you act. So picking the right role model will help you tremendously. You could tell pretty much anything to anybody, whatever you think people may believe. But the only important that really matters that you can't fool is yourself. So you have to stay authentic to yourself and know what you really want and know where you're really at. You know, what you love, what you don't love. You know, are you really happy? Are you satisfied? How do you view your life at the moment? Where are you at? What are the things that you miss? What are the things that you desire that would make you a fulfilled person? And what are the things that hold you back? Okay, so there are multiple ways to achieve an understanding. And I can help you, of course, to give you guidelines and say, okay, try this or try that. And, you know, but in the end of the day, you're the only person that can make the best judgment about you. So be honest with yourself and know what you don't want anymore and what your goal is, where you want to go in your life to reach that fulfillment. Here's what you can do. Get a pen and a paper. It's an exercise, and write down on the first page all the points about your life that you don't like right now. For example, the work that you're doing, the income that you don't like, the boss that you have to deal with, or the relationship that you're not happy with, the shape you're in, the kind of money you make. Write it down as specific and honest as possible. Right next to each point, I want you to make a section where you write down what state of mind you were in. For example, about the relationship. How did you meet your spouse? Where? Did you find her online or in a club? What was your situation in your life like? How did you feel? Write it down. And that with each section, like with your boss, your work, and etc. On the next page, you write down all the things that you desire. Your ideal job, the ideal income, like a six-figure or more, being an entrepreneur, a coach, a professional athlete, or a rock star, a producer, etc. The same thing with your relationship. What's the perfect woman like for you, okay? Her lifestyle, her look, the way she thinks about things, her lifestyle. The same thing with your body, the shape you want to be in. You want to be really muscular or you want to be really lean. So all the things you write down specific on that page, what your life should be like. Okay, now what I would like you to do is to put all the pages in front of you, everything you've written down, and compare each section separately. For example, your job situation. Now what you see is a pattern. What kind of state of mind were you in? Were you desperate? Were you stressed? Were you hungry? What was the motive? Did you take your time looking for a certain job, or were you so in a rush that, okay, you picked a job that doesn't pay very well, and you kind of maybe didn't pay attention to who you're working for, but this particular person that gave you that job also needed someone that is willing to do the work necessary. And so you picked the job, and this is now the result. This is the kind of income you made. Okay, and the same thing with your relationship. You kept traveling around the world. You never really stayed in one place. You never saved up any money. You never really had a full-time job, and you had your disappointments with certain girls. Maybe never got the chance to get to know a girl well enough. So you look at all that. Okay, what led you to make a decision to date this particular spouse? For example, you were so desperate and so tired of taking the time getting to know the person, so you decided to go online, and you kind of maybe were attracted to her in the first place. Maybe she had the perfect body for you. She sounded kind of nice, but you really didn't get too deep into it. And, you guys were dating, and, and out of comfort, you guys moved in together very quickly, even though your job didn't pay you very well, because even your situation wasn't stable enough. Even you didn't know the person well enough, but you guys moved in together, and boom, here it is. And now you can see it all comes together, right? So, and then the same thing with your shape that you're in. Were you able to exercise? Were you disciplined enough to exercise? Or were you so angry about life or so desperate that you didn't even care to do any exercise anymore? Because maybe you had low energy, lack of nutrition, there was no food, and you didn't have enough sleep, and as a result of not having enough sleep and just keep on working and trying to please the girlfriend you're with, you kind of let yourself go. And so what you see is a pattern. So you look at all these sections and you make note of that. You now have a very clear perspective of what happened. On the next page, it's the page where you've written down all the things that you desire. Your perfect job, the perfect income, the perfect boss, the perfect wife, and the perfect shape that you're in. And each section, I want you to make keynotes. Okay? So I want you to look at the other page and see all the patterns that you've done that kind of held you back to achieve those certain results. And instead, you're writing down what you're going to do differently. Each point. For example, your ideal job. Okay? You would write down, okay, to educate yourself, to read certain books, to get the resource, to understand this type of work, to be good at it, to master yourself to a level, to be able to do the certain type of work, like to be a master musician. So you study your way up to become this type of musician, the practice, etc. The same thing with the spouse. Okay, before you were traveling all over the world, you didn't have a stable home, you didn't have that certain income, you weren't maybe taking enough time to read the person well enough. Well, now on the section where everything is supposed to be perfect, you write down the things that you're going to achieve to get to that level. Like, okay, you have now a better job, you have mastered your level to make a better income, you pick a better apartment, or with the money that you made, you find a nice condominium, a new house, and so now you have a stable situation where you can also invite somebody in. But also, for example, okay, not rushing into a situation. Yes, you're seeing from the pattern of the past that you're rushing and, just picked what was available firsthand. And instead, now you can write down, okay, I go to a fitness gym, I'll go to my favorite restaurant to get to know people, I'll pick a community where I become more familiar, getting to know other people, and basically building a new reputation, a new pattern that leads you into different results. And the same thing with your body. Okay, you look back to the other page and you see, well, you were stressed, you didn't eat, you didn't have good nutrition, you didn't exercise regularly enough, and so the result was you're in bad shape. Now, on a section where you're in perfect shape, you can make those keynotes again and say, oh, a regular income leads to a good way of eating, better nutrition, eating more regularly, okay, having a better rest because I'm having a better place, I'm having a home, I have good friends around me, like that wife that I was dreaming about, that most likely keeps me motivated. So, of course, I'm giving a lot of examples, but you see what I'm talking about now, because you've written it all down, you see the pattern from the past and to the development stage of where you are right now. So it's a lot of things to take in. I didn't invent that exercise. I've learned it from someone else, a role model of mine, and it helped me tremendously. I was very surprised of the patterns that I had in my life, the things I did or didn't do. Oftentimes we don't look back. We just let time slip by and then just it is as it is, right? So many people you heard probably saying, it is what it is. And really, results are not just coming out of nothing. Result is something that comes because of your action. Whatever you do is going to cause a certain result. And if you want a successful result, well, you got to act on it, in order to achieve those results. When you keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, the phrase, it's called insanity. And eventually comes a point where you had enough and it's too much pain, you're not feeling any progress, and you just don't want it anymore. And that's a great time to make that change, to change your actions, to change results, okay? Because everybody wants to have more pleasure than pain. And when you come to that point, acknowledging that your patterns have to change to get different results, you just got to do something about it. Well, this is the time where you can have the passion, where you have the drive and the hunger to make a commitment and say, okay, today's the day. And that's why that exercise, it will help you tremendously. But regardless of what you want, regardless of what you desire to achieve in your life, important is that you are in control of your state of mind, the way you look at things, your pattern, your action. You can change all that. You can change the way you look at things. You can change the way you act on things. So you have control over your state of mind. Successful doesn't mean necessarily you have to be a professional concert pianist, a professional basketball player, or an entrepreneur who makes billions of dollars every month. We already discovered everyone has a different definition of success. Success really means to be fulfilled. And if you feel some kind of struggle that doesn't allow you to breathe, to eat regularly, to have enough sleep, to feel peace and harmony, happiness, the simplest joy, then something is wrong and you're going against your own natural principles. So to be successful is to be fulfilled in your heart. And everybody wants to feel that. Everybody wants to feel that joy. We weren't born to suffer. Yeah? I don't believe that. I believe in a God. I believe that there is a higher power above us that gives us those beautiful tools and the gift of light, of love, to experience life in the most beautiful way possible. And you have that opportunity as well. So if you change your patterns, your state of mind, change your actions, you will have different results. And you also will experience success. I hope this helped you out. And I'm so glad that I can speak with you, can share what I've learned in my life. I'm here to help you. Please, anything you want to ask me, I am more than grateful to give my feedback. As I know, I had mentors, I had people that helped me out. The same way I want to give back to you. Always remember that giving is living, and what's left in life is what you give to others. And once you understand the power inside you and listen within and achieve the results that you desire, most likely you will be so much full of joy that you want to give back and you want to share with everyone what it's like to experience this type of joy. Until next time, and keep progressing.